Welcome in or welcome back. I feel like I'm taking a step back from making progress, and if you've caught the last month of videos, you know how I've been struggling. Last week was rough already, and then last Tuesday I worked all day with only breaks between sessions for travel and had no lunch and no breaks to sit and do nothing, and something came out of me, or at me from left field, and I was just kind of done and burnt out to a crisp, so to speak. And I put up a message in the announcements sections on my Discord saying I'd be MIA for a week and I needed space. And I was still under all of this pressure with people DMing me to look to talk and get conversation out of me, despite all the status messages or things I had said about how I'm slow or not answering DMs right now and not well. And the guilt was incredible. So I cut it all off and I went home and I cried for hours over everything that was stressful that happened, blow after blow that day, and the next day I felt a little bit better, but I still wanted to take the space. Mind you, I could have ignored everyone or been blunt to everyone who DM'd me, which I have done in past months, that just say I'm unavailable to talk at this time emotionally. But even then, some people kept sending little poke messages, and when I'm all heightened, that's the last thing I need. I became this overwhelming, it just became this overwhelming blanket of guilt and stress. So I backed off because I haven't tried that before, and I'm still MIA until Tuesday. I got on a little bit over the weekend before and after I streamed, which was another mind warp for me. I'd missed 2 weeks of streams because I didn't have it in me to have the energy to entertain or just even to be around people when I barely wanted to speak and I just felt weighted down. That's the part about Spravato that I like, that I was feeling the most, is just the impact of blows was buffered. But this past week, it felt like absolutely nothing was buffered. I told my treatment team that there's a lot going on, and it's not just my normal depression that creeps and settles and circles around me all day. It's additionally all these blows that are just one right after the other, and I'm burnt out. And that led me to think to myself, oh my God, what if it stopped working and I'm back to where I started and I'm never going to be well or better and I'm going to live the rest of my life like this? Dan, who's one of the heads of the treatment team who gives me my treatments, assured me that they're not going to stop giving me the treatments even if I'm doing a little worse, and that helped. Streaming was nice this weekend. I had fun. And that was a step in the right direction for my mental, but it also came at the price of guilt of recognizing I haven't been around. And after it was over, I really, last night in particular, kind of fell back into an uncertain, insecure, ghost like wander. And what I mean by that, there's stories of ghosts where they're trapped and they wander and there's really nowhere for them to go. And it's miserable. And that's how I felt. And that's how I feel today, too. I feel like I'm just being weighted down by 1,000 mental pounds. I'm tolerating everything to the best degree that I can, but I'm still crying a lot. I find myself on the brink of tears at least once a day the past few days, and I want my buffer back. I want my ability to handle my normal social self back. I want my confidence back. I want everything I feel like I've lost and I am losing back. And I want it to be better than it was. And I accept that I have no control over these things and I need to just keep moving forward. During last Thursday's treatment, I disassociated to an enormous degree. And I threw it back to treatments of old, where I spent at least an hour taking videos of the lights on my phone camera, which I still attest hit differently visually than they do when you look straight at them, especially when you can see the screen in front of them, and it's calming. And I didn't do much else. I didn't listen to music at all. I sat in silence, and I was peaceful doing that. I had thought to myself, when I had found some peace, that I could start to feel it wearing off. And I was so sad that when I'd have to leave, I'd be back to all of it full blast, and I was. But during the treatment, at least, there was some peace. My PHQ-9 score dropped from an 11 to a 14, and in the case of the depression scale measurements that the PHQ-9 scores, the higher your score is, the worse you're doing. But it is what it is. I'm taking my space. I'm taking it hours and minutes at a time, and I'm doing the best I can. Living is just so hard right now. I am so ripped apart by how intense all of the feelings are, and that's where I need Spravato to hold my hand again. That's where it was working and where I wanted to come back and help again. I wish I could do treatments twice a week again, but I wouldn't be able to swing that at work and still be able to keep full-time status with insurance, and I don't think that the insurance company itself would allow me to do that again because that's not the route that they prescribe. But I'm just wandering in a bad place, and I'm doing everything I can to make it that I have control over, and it is so, so hard. I just need the feelings to be buffered. I need less impact. I need to feel less constricted by how overwhelmingly sad everything feels. If I didn't have these waves hitting me in the face and just drowning me for periods of time to the point I can't breathe, just being so intense, I'd be in a better spot. So come on, Spravato, please. I'm scared. I'm not doing well. I pray every day. I cherish the little things. I focus my energy all day every time I catch myself descending back to the dark waters of feelings and bringing myself back to the present moment and practicing mindfulness. And I don't know what the next hour will bring. I don't know what the next day or week will bring, but I haven't lost all faith that I'll still be okay. I just want to feel better again. I want my quality of life to start trending up again. The Buddhists say that wanting causes suffering, and I agree with that. When I got into ACT therapy, I really appreciated all the metaphors in it, and they pull a lot from Buddhist philosophy and the concepts. So, years back, I started listening to this one Buddhist monk in Australia give these talks, and he'd tell these stories, and they'd revolve around the hardships of life. And one story in particular had been on my mind recently, and I'm going to share it with you in hopes it sparks something in you like it has in me, and then I'll wrap it up. And I don't remember the story word for word. It's been a couple of years since I heard it and how it was originally told. And there was this farmer who was farming near a well, and he spotted a tiger, so he jumped into the well and grabbed onto a vine. The tiger perched on top of the well and swiped down at the farmer, who was just out of reach. The farmer realized he couldn't fall down to the bottom of the well because there was a viper there who was extending its body, ready to strike the farmer, who was just out of reach. Now, to make matters worse, two little mice came out of one of the cracks of the stones of the well and started to chew on the vine that was holding the farmer up. They were slowly making progress at cutting this cord. And as the tiger was swiping down at the farmer, his tail knocked a beehive above the well, and honey began to drip down from the beehive while it wavered up in the air. And the only thing the farmer could do in this situation was to stick his tongue out and taste the honey. And sometimes when you're being faced by things on all sides and it's grim and there's nothing else you can do, the only thing you can do is just taste the honey and be in the moment. There's no real clear end to the story. That's the message behind it. But the monk who told the story said something like, oh, well, we'll just say that the tiger, fell down at the well, knocking the mice, smashing the viper, and the farmer was able to crawl out. And again, that's not part of the story, but I would hope that for the farmer, that he'd be able to get out. Next treatment is this Thursday. Wish me luck, and until then, hang in there. This is Sim, signing off.